Happiness is something almost everyone on earth is searching for, chasing and trying to achieve. Everything people do, whether it's working toward a goal, buying something they want, or building relationships, is done because they believe it will make them feel happier. For most people, the main way they try to find happiness is by achieving their desires. Now, here's the truth. Getting what you want won't make you truly happy. When you achieve a desire, it feels amazing, like a rush of joy or relief. But that feeling doesn't last. Soon enough, it fades, and you're left looking for the next thing. Most of us believe that achieving our desires will make all the hard parts of life disappear. For instance, someone might think, if I find my soulmate, I'll be happy. Or if I become rich, famous, healthy, or successful, then I'll finally be happy. We imagine happiness as an end state, like heaven on earth, a place where life is always good and nothing bad ever happens. But that's not how life works. Life on earth is built around contrast. The experience of opposites like light and dark, joy and pain, success and failure, wanted and unwanted. This contrast isn't a mistake or something to avoid. It's a core part of life. It drives personal growth and helps us evolve. When you face challenges or experience things you don't want, it gives rise to new desires. These desires push you to grow, learn, and take action towards something better. Even when you achieve your goals, new challenges will appear. This is the natural cycle of life. You expand, you face contrast, you grow again, and the process repeats. This doesn't mean life is a constant struggle. It means life is a journey of continuous growth, not a destination where everything is perfect and only good things happen. One of the biggest misconceptions people have, and that some in the self-help and spiritual industries promote, is the idea that it's possible to eliminate all contrast. They sell the fantasy of a life where you'll reach a point of pure happiness with no struggles, no pain, and no negativity. But that's not real. Life will always have ups and downs, and that's not a bad thing. True happiness comes from embracing this cycle of growth, learning to find joy in the process, and appreciating the moments of peace and fulfillment along the way. Happiness isn't about reaching a point where everything is perfect. It's about finding meaning and purpose in the journey itself. The truth is, anything you want and eventually achieve will come with a new set of challenges, difficulties, and unexpected downsides. These negatives can create unhappiness, leading you to desire something else. This cycle is natural, but if you're not ready for it, it can leave you feeling lost and disillusioned. Here's what often happens. You work incredibly hard to achieve a goal, believing it will finally make you happy. But once you get there, you realize it doesn't bring the lasting happiness you expected. When this happens, you might feel like something is wrong with you. To fix this, you may change direction, chasing something entirely different, thinking this new thing will be the answer. But guess what? The same cycle repeats. You reach your new goal and find that it still doesn't deliver lasting happiness. The solution isn't to give up your desires. You couldn't even if you wanted to. Desire is a natural and essential part of being human. It drives you to grow, improve, and achieve. Closing the gap between where you are now and what you want is one of the many ways you experience happiness. Desire itself isn't the problem. The problem is the belief that achieving a specific desire will bring you permanent happiness or end your struggles. Desires are designed to create continual growth and expansion, which is why they are never fully satisfied. This isn't a flaw. It's how they work. When you accept that achieving what you want won't make you happy forever, you can start building a healthier and more realistic relationship with your desires. Instead of being controlled by your desires or fighting against them, you can work with them as a guide. Desires are a part of who you are, and by understanding them, you can use them as tools to help you make conscious decisions about your life. This shift allows you to see desires as allies, not problems. When you let go of the idea that achieving your desires will make you happy, you stop living your life as a so that. Many people spend their lives doing things they don't enjoy or believe in, thinking, I'm doing this so that I can achieve X, and then I'll be happy. This mindset leads to a lot of inauthentic living and frustration. Instead, when you accept that happiness isn't tied to the end result, you can focus on enjoying the journey, being present in your life, and pursuing what truly matters to you. Desire isn't something to fear or eliminate. It's a tool for growth and expansion. By understanding its true nature, you can live a more meaningful and fulfilled life. Many people spend their lives doing things they don't enjoy, because they believe those sacrifices will lead to happiness. For example, someone might change who they are to fit what others want, thinking that belonging will make them happy. Or they might stay in a job they hate to earn money, assuming money will eventually bring them happiness. But here's the problem. This way of living doesn't work, especially when getting what you want doesn't actually lead to lasting happiness. In life, we all have to face challenges and choose between different sets of difficulties. However, there's a big difference between consciously choosing challenges that align with your values and passions versus blindly enduring things you hate just to get something you think will make you happy. Living this way, sacrificing your joy now for a reward later, is unsustainable, especially when the reward won't bring the happiness you expect. When you accept that attaining what you desire won't make you happy, something shifts. You start making decisions based on what you genuinely enjoy, not what you think you should do to reach happiness. This approach makes your daily life feel better and more fulfilling because you're aligned with what truly matters to you. It also helps you live according to your deeper values, things that give your life meaning beyond just chasing temporary happiness. This kind of alignment makes you more resilient, more grounded, and more connected to a sense of purpose. Instead of trying to fix what's wrong with you whenever you feel unhappy, you recognize that unhappiness is a natural part of life. You stop telling yourself the false story that you're impossible to satisfy, or that you've somehow failed because you aren't endlessly happy. The truth is, by the nature of desire, no one is ever fully satisfied. To hold yourself to the impossible standard of constant happiness is not only unfair, it's cruel. When you understand this, you free yourself from the pressure to fix what doesn't need fixing. You stop fighting with yourself and start embracing the adventure of life as it truly is. This acceptance allows you to fully commit to life's journey. You stop resisting the present moment, stop trying to escape the reality of life, and instead embrace the process of growth and expansion. You play the game of life with intention, extracting the benefits of each experience, including the role of desire itself. You stop fighting against impermanence and start appreciating the beauty of the ever-changing nature of life. When you accept that achieving your desires won't make you permanently happy, your attachment to permanence and control begins to fade. With that, your fear of impermanence and even death diminishes. You become free to live fully, appreciating the richness of life without being held captive by the endless chase for something unattainable. Now, When we desire something, what we often really want is to have that thing forever. Why? Because we believe that getting what we want will make us happy, and keeping it forever will keep us happy forever. But here's the catch. When you stop thinking that achieving your desires is the key to happiness, you also stop believing that immortality or permanence is the key to happiness. Once you accept that attaining what you want won't bring lasting happiness, you'll feel less frantic about rushing through the present to get to some imagined future. Instead of constantly chasing what's next, you'll naturally start being more present. You'll notice more about what's happening right now, and you'll find joy in the small moments around you. This shift lets you experience things like gratitude and appreciation more deeply. You'll stop depriving yourself of the happiness available to you now by obsessing over a future goal where you think happiness waits. Life itself begins to feel better because you're no longer stuck in a constant cycle of longing for something just out of reach. When you stop believing that getting what you want will save you from pain or difficulty, you'll also stop looking to future desires as an escape. Instead, you'll learn how to find moments of joy and peace, even in the middle of hard times. This doesn't mean you won't experience heartbreak, fear, or uncertainty. But it does mean you'll realize those feelings can coexist with small, beautiful moments of joy, moments that you might have overlooked before. For example, even when life feels overwhelming, when you're scared, grieving, or facing uncertainty, you can still find moments of comfort, connection, or beauty. The answer isn't to pin all your hopes on some future desire or to wait for happiness until you achieve it. Instead, the answer is empowerment. Empowerment means finding strength and joy within yourself, even during difficult times. When you fully accept that achieving your desires won't make you permanently happy, because contrast and new desires will always exist, you unlock the possibility of finding true happiness. That kind of happiness isn't something you wait for. It's something you discover in the here and now as you move through life toward your goals. So here's the question. If you truly accepted that getting what you want won't bring lasting happiness, how would your life change? What would you do differently? Take some time to think about it. And as you go into your week, remember this. Life is about the moments you experience along the way, not just the goals you achieve. Now, what's the best way to find happiness? Now, I can't tell you the best way to find happiness, because what's best depends on your perspective and personal experience. But I can share what I believe is the fastest way. To understand it, we need to look at the concept of ourselves as projectors. Think about an old school projector, the kind used in classrooms. You place an image on the projector's lens, and the machine casts that image onto a screen for everyone to see. The important thing to realize is that this is exactly how we function in the physical world. You are the projector, and the life you're living, the world you see, is the image being projected outward. Every thought you think is like the image placed on that lens. Those thoughts get projected out and shape the reality you experience. Your interpretation of what's happening around you, your feelings, your experiences, all stem from those thoughts. In this way, everything you're going through is a reflection of what's happening inside your mind. Here's another thing. You can't see or experience someone else's reality. Similarly, no one else can fully experience what's on your screen. The only time we share experiences with others is when we co-create a situation. Even then, how each person interprets that shared event will always be different. This leads to a profound truth. There's no single true reality out there that exists separately from us. Reality isn't some external fixed thing we all have to discover or conform to. It's subjective. What you experience is shaped entirely by your own thoughts and beliefs. When we understand this, we realize we don't need to obsess over figuring out what's real or true. We can let go of the addiction to uncovering some ultimate truth, because truth itself is subjective. Instead, we can focus on what actually matters, choosing beliefs and thoughts that feel good, that serve us, and that create a life we enjoy. If you're the one creating your reality, why would you choose thoughts that don't make you happy? Why would you stick with beliefs that don't benefit you? If you want to experience a life you love, you must be deliberate about the thoughts you think and the beliefs you hold. Now, a lot of people get stuck here because they're addicted to the idea of truth. Why? Because they don't fully believe that they create their reality. They think reality is something outside of them, something they have to figure out, adapt to, and protect themselves from. This mindset comes from fear. It's the belief that if we don't uncover every detail about the external reality, we might get blindsided, hurt, or victimized by something we didn't see coming. But here's the thing. When you embrace the fact that your reality is shaped by your thoughts and beliefs, you stop living in fear of some external world you can't control. Instead, you take responsibility for your experience. You become empowered to shape your life in a way that brings you joy, peace, and fulfillment. The only reason people get so attached to the idea of truth is that they believe finding it will make them feel better. But here's the thing. If your goal is to feel good, you don't need to chase truth as the middleman. Instead, figure out what beliefs about your reality would make you feel happy, and watch as your reality shifts to reflect those beliefs. This isn't just wishful thinking or being naive, even though some people might dismiss it as Pollyanna thinking. Those critics say, "Oh, it's unrealistic to just think positive and expect life to change." But is it really? If we truly create our own reality through our thoughts, wouldn't it make sense to focus on the reality we want to experience, rather than getting stuck on the one we currently see? The reality you're living in right now is not some fixed truth. It's simply the result of the thoughts you've been thinking up until this moment. Your life is like a hologram, a projection created by the patterns of your past thoughts and beliefs. If you don't like what you see in your life, the solution isn't to resign yourself to it. It's to shift the way you think. If you do like your life, then great. Your thoughts are working for you. In spirituality and personal growth, there's no rule that says you must abandon what's working for you. The real work is figuring out which thoughts and beliefs are helping you, and which ones are holding you back. The only reason to hold on to any belief is if it genuinely serves your highest good. If it doesn't, there's no reason to keep it. The fastest way to find happiness is to examine your thoughts and shift them until they feel good to you. Your suffering isn't caused by the experiences you're having. It's caused by the thoughts you think about those experiences. This is why questioning your thoughts and their validity is so powerful. Let me give you an example. Imagine the worst scenario. You're kidnapped and physically tortured. It sounds unbearable, right? But the actual physical sensations of torture aren't the sole source of pain. The real suffering comes from the thoughts you have about what's happening. This is horrible. I'm helpless. I'll never escape. If you were somehow able to change the thoughts you associate with the experience, you'd change the meaning behind it. and as a result, the intensity of the pain would shift. This is why something that feels like pain to one person might feel like pleasure to someone else. It's all about the meaning we assign through our thoughts. People who experience the same event can have vastly different feelings about it because their thoughts frame the experience differently. Understanding this gives you incredible power. It means you can alter how you experience life, whether it's pain or joy, just by changing the way you think about it. No one else can truly control your thoughts. Sure, others might try to influence you, but the choice to think a particular thought is entirely yours. Even with advanced brain manipulation, no one can force thoughts into you. Why? Because thoughts don't actually exist in the brain. The brain is just a tool that acts as a bridge between your thoughts and your body. Your thoughts come from a place beyond the physical brain. They're yours alone to control. When you understand this, it becomes clear. The power to change your life is in your hands, or more specifically, in your thoughts. You don't need to cling to the idea of some ultimate truth to feel good. Instead, take control of your thoughts, shape them in ways that serve you, and watch your reality transform. Your happiness begins where your thoughts change. Use that knowledge to create the life you want. Ignorance doesn't come from choosing to think thoughts that benefit you. It comes from blindly believing in your thoughts, especially when those thoughts are distorted. The key to finding happiness isn't about forcing yourself to think positively, but rather freeing yourself from the grip of your painful and limiting thoughts. One of the most powerful things you can do for your happiness is to learn how to liberate yourself from your own mind. There are many ways to do this, and lots of processes out there can help. But here's the truth. You cannot lead a happy life while clinging to painful thoughts. Painful thoughts are like mental prisons, and as long as you're locked inside, true happiness will always feel out of reach. But when you start questioning those thoughts, when you realize they aren't facts, but stories your mind creates, you begin to break free. Happiness starts in the mind because your mind shapes how you see reality. If your mind is filled with painful, distorted thoughts, your reality will feel painful too. But if your mind is clear and at peace, your reality will reflect that peace and joy. When you set yourself free from painful thoughts, happiness isn't something you have to chase. It's what naturally remains. In the absence of those stories and distortions, joy is what fills the space. This is why liberating your mind is so powerful. If you're ready to take control of your happiness, start by questioning your thoughts. Processes like the work are excellent tools for this. But what's most important is making the commitment to stop believing every painful thought you think. Remember, your thoughts don't define you. They're just ideas, and you have the power to change them. When you free yourself from those painful thoughts, you'll find that happiness isn't something you have to add to your life. It's something that's been there all along, waiting for you to let it in. Now, to live a happy life, it's important to stop pushing against the things you dislike. When you focus on what you don't want, you actually attract more of it into your life. Because the law of attraction says that whatever you focus on grows. This not only creates more negativity, but also guarantees you'll live in a state of resistance and frustration. Instead, let go of the idea that you have to accept everything someone says, just because parts of it resonate with you. Similarly, don't feel you have to reject everything someone says, simply because some of it doesn't align with your beliefs. The real key is to pick and choose, to take what works for you and leave the rest. This approach is shaping a new way of being for humanity. In the past, people either fully accepted or fully rejected ideas, often leading to unnecessary pain. History shows us the harm in both throwing out the baby with the bathwater and keeping the bathwater with the baby. A perfect example of this can be found in religion. Religions often contain beautiful and loving truths, but these are sometimes mixed with harmful or limiting beliefs. Too often, people accept the negative parts along with the positive ones because they fear trusting their own judgment. They might think they need to belong to a religion to be a good person, or that they have to accept every part of it to be a member. But here's the truth. People share their perspectives because that's what humans do. Your job is to extract the pieces of those perspectives that serve you and leave the rest. Every person you meet has something valuable to offer, even if it's just clarity about what you don't want in your life. The key is to stay open enough to recognize and take what serves you. So often people are afraid to trust themselves. They'd rather rely on someone else who seems more confident to decide what's right for them. But your life isn't meant to be lived by someone else's rules. You weren't born to follow someone else's religion. You were born to create your own. Your own religion is simply a collection of beliefs, practices, and ideas that feel right to you and help you build a beautiful life. Trust yourself to know what feels good and right for you. And remember, what resonates with you will naturally change over time. As you grow and experience more, you'll discover new perspectives and let go of beliefs that no longer serve you. Life is too short to dwell on things you don't like, don't want, or don't agree with. Instead, focus on building your life moment by moment from the things you do love and resonate with. Stay open to different perspectives, but don't be afraid to question them fully before accepting or rejecting them. Only you can decide what's best for your life. Think of your life as a custom cocktail. You get to choose the ingredients, the people, practices, beliefs, and ideas that uplift you and help you feel your best. Discard what doesn't feel good or no longer serves you. You don't have to take something as a whole. Take what works and leave the rest. So here's today's tip for happiness. Create your own religion. Build your life around the bits and pieces of wisdom, people, and practices that truly resonate with you and serve your highest good. Your life is yours to design. Make it a masterpiece crafted from everything that feels right to you. Now, many of today's self-help, spiritual, and New Age practices have created a big problem when it comes to discipline, especially self-discipline. In fact, the whole idea of discipline has been pushed aside so much that, in these circles, you'll often hear things like, "It didn't feel good anymore, so I knew quitting was the right thing to do." Or something even more common, "I'm not going to plan ahead because I don't know how I'll feel when the time comes." The issue here is that many people following these ideas have forgotten a basic truth. Discipline is crucial for a satisfying life. Being disciplined or self-disciplined means that your ability to think clearly and make conscious choices is guiding your emotions, mind, and body. Not the other way around. Your free will, which comes from a deeper sense of self, is in charge. You can think of this deeper self as the observer, the part of you that exists beyond your thoughts, feelings, and physical body. Your emotions, mind, and body give you valuable information, but they shouldn't control you. Instead, you're meant to use that information to make deliberate and thoughtful choices. This is what makes someone appear in control of themselves. They can direct their actions, thoughts, and feelings rather than being directed by them. A self-disciplined person isn't a prisoner to their emotions, mind, or body. They're the one in charge. On the flip side, when someone lacks self-discipline, they end up being controlled by their emotions, mind, or body. They act on impulse, letting their feelings decide what they do instead of using those feelings as helpful signals. It's like letting a compass decide where to go instead of using it as a tool to guide you. When you truly pay attention to your body, mind, and emotions, you gain insight into what choices you should make. But just because something feels uncomfortable doesn't automatically mean you should stop doing it. That's where discipline comes in. Discipline is also about resistance, the ability to keep going, even when things get tough. A disciplined person takes action regardless of how they feel. They do what needs to be done to reach their goals, even if it's hard or painful. They stick to what they believe is right, no matter the temptation to quit. They push themselves without needing anyone else to force them. Resistance can come from within, like self-doubt or fear, or from outside pressures. But discipline is what helps you overcome that resistance and keep moving forward. Let me give you an example of what internal resistance might look like. Imagine you've planned to meet a friend on a certain day, but as the time gets closer, maybe in the morning, you start thinking about everything it will take to get there. You'll need to shower, get dressed, leave the house, and take public transportation. All that effort might start feeling overwhelming, like a force pulling you away from your decision to go. Now, here's the difference between a disciplined person and an undisciplined one. Someone without discipline might feel that resistance and think, "Ugh, this must be a sign I shouldn't go," and cancel the meeting. On the other hand, a disciplined person recognizes those thoughts and emotions, but doesn't let them control their decision. Instead, they ask themselves, what's in my best interest? What lines up with my values? Then, they work through the resistance, making a conscious choice, whether that's going despite the discomfort, or thoughtfully deciding not to go for a good reason. Resistance isn't always a red light telling you to stop. Sometimes it's a signal that something deeper needs your attention. Maybe it's a belief you need to challenge, past trauma that's been triggered, or simply the discomfort that comes with doing something meaningful. In those cases, the right choice is to push through the discomfort rather than avoid it. Here's another way to think about it. People who lack discipline often misunderstand resistance. They assume that when they feel discomfort, pain, or doubt, it means they should stop or change direction. But that's not always true. If you always let resistance dictate your choices, you risk making decisions that aren't in your best interest, and you miss opportunities for growth and integration. Let's use another example. Imagine you've decided to get a college degree. Some days it's going to be tough. Maybe there's a party you want to go to, but you need to stay home and study to stay on track. Now, suppose studying starts to feel miserable for a while, so you let your emotions take over and stop. Your grades slip, and eventually you drop out. You might tell yourself, well, maybe college just wasn't meant for me. But what if the real reason you quit was because a subconscious belief was triggered? For instance, maybe you've carried a belief like, no matter how hard I try, nothing works out for me. That belief might have surfaced in response to some challenge, and instead of working through it, you let the resistance win. dropping out felt like relief. And relief feels good, right? But just because something feels good doesn't mean it's good for you. If that were true, then harmful things like drugs would also be good for you. This brings us to an important point. When you hear ideas like follow your joy or listen to your internal guidance system, it doesn't mean you should avoid anything uncomfortable or painful. It also doesn't mean that every feeling you have is an accurate reflection of reality. Letting your emotions or resistance run your life isn't a guarantee that you're heading toward what's best for you. Discipline and following your joy, or listening to your internal guidance system, can work together. For that to happen, though, you need to understand that your emotions, mind, and body are like messengers, constantly giving you information about yourself and the world. This information is important, but it's not always accurate. That's where your conscious awareness and free will come in. You have to use this information wisely to decide what's truly the right thing to do. Some people are uncomfortable with the idea of discipline, but what they're really afraid of isn't discipline itself. It's something called bulldozing. To understand bulldozing, imagine an actual bulldozer. When it encounters resistance, it just plows over everything in its path, completely ignoring what's there. Bulldozing is a win-lose situation. It's like saying, I win, you lose, and that's that. Many people see discipline as bulldozing, forcing themselves to do something at the expense of their feelings or well-being. They think it means crushing one part of themselves to achieve a goal, which feels like betrayal. And they're not wrong to avoid that, because bulldozing isn't healthy. It damages your relationship with yourself. What's surprising, though, is that many people who reject discipline because they don't want to bulldoze themselves are already doing it without realizing it. For example, they let how they feel in the moment bulldoze their long-term goals or what's objectively best for them. Instead of consciously working through their resistance, they let short-term discomfort override their deeper desires and values. True discipline isn't about bulldozing yourself. It's not about forcing or ignoring parts of yourself. Instead, discipline is about working with resistance, not against it. This means taking the time to see, feel, and understand the resistance deeply. Why is it there? What's causing it? Once you understand the root of your resistance, you can resolve it and make a choice that aligns with your values and long-term goals. When you do this, every part of you can say yes to that decision, even if it's uncomfortable. Here's another important thing to understand about discipline and your internal guidance system. It doesn't feel good, isn't the information you're looking for. That feeling is just a signal, like a notification on your phone that says you've got a message. It's not the whole story. Deciding to avoid something just because it doesn't feel good is like hearing your phone alert and assuming the message is bad without even checking it. When something doesn't feel good, it's a cue to pause and dig deeper. Ask yourself, what's the message here? Why do I feel this way? The discomfort might be pointing to an unresolved belief, a fear, or even the natural challenge that comes with pursuing something meaningful. Once you understand the true message behind the feeling, you can make a thoughtful decision that considers both your present feelings and your long-term goals. Many people who struggle with self-discipline often feel like they have to do things rather than want to do them. But here's an important truth. There is no such thing as have to. Let me be blunt with you. You could choose to stay in bed all day. If you need the bathroom, you could use your bed instead. You could refuse to eat and simply wait for whatever comes next. That's how much free will you have. No one can take it from you. People can only try to influence your choices with consequences or rewards, but the choice is still yours. Once you understand this, you can start seeing discomfort differently. Instead of feeling forced, you can consciously choose to face discomfort because it might actually benefit you. For example, doing something hard or painful can sometimes be the best decision for your growth or well-being. Now, let's talk about what happens when you live without discipline. Without it, you're at the mercy of everything around you, your circumstances, emotions, and impulses. Your life becomes chaotic and limited. You'll give up when things get tough, achieve little, and fail to build anything meaningful. Discipline helps you push past the urge for instant gratification, plan for the future, and maintain healthy relationships. Without it, you're unreliable and powerless, even against your own mind and body. Here's another hard truth. Many things worth doing involve discomfort or even pain. Take learning a new skill, moving to a new place, improving your physical health, or building a strong relationship. These things often don't feel good in the moment, but they're worth it. The universe or your inner guidance won't always steer you toward comfort. Sometimes growth requires you to walk straight into difficulty. When you use your conscious free will to make choices, you'll often find that the best path involves discomfort. But the meaning you give to that discomfort makes all the difference. For instance, professional athletes don't reach their goals by avoiding pain. They learn to attach meaning to it, seeing it as part of their journey towards success. Pursuing your dreams will involve challenges, and discipline helps you face them actively rather than passively. You didn't come to this life to sit back and hope things happen. You're here to create, grow, and bring your desires into reality. Discipline is the tool that helps you actively manifest what you want. With true discipline, you work with yourself, not against yourself. You're no longer a victim of your thoughts, emotions, or body. You're in control, which means others can't control you either. Until you wake up to this reality, ask yourself, who programmed the system you're running on? Discipline is the key to reclaiming that power. Here's the good news. Self-discipline isn't something you're either born with or not. It's a skill you can develop. With practice, you can become the kind of person who not only sticks with things even when they're hard, but actually starts to enjoy the process of pushing through challenges. You can learn to find satisfaction in giving your all to something, even when it feels uncomfortable or difficult. If discipline is something you've struggled with, don't worry, you're not alone. The important thing is that you can change. Developing self-discipline is a journey, and there are practical steps you can take to move from a place of feeling like you lack it to becoming someone who naturally embraces it. I've got a few tips that can help you on this journey. These tips are designed to guide you in building self-discipline in a way that feels manageable and realistic. By applying them, you can gradually transform your mindset and habits, making discipline a part of who you are. Let's dive in and explore how you can start making this change today. Number 1, in building self-discipline is to reflect on how you feel about it. Think about your thoughts and emotions surrounding discipline. Does it inspire you, frustrate you, or make you feel resistant? How you feel about discipline is deeply connected to how easily you can embrace it. Motivation plays a crucial role in discipline because it fuels your willpower. If you're struggling with discipline, ask yourself whether you feel motivated in life right now. If not, try to pinpoint why. Was there a time when you felt more motivated than you do now? What changed? Reflect on what might have caused your motivation to decrease and think of ways to increase it, especially in the areas where you want to build discipline. Remember, when motivation drops, discipline often drops too. Life experiences can also shape your view of discipline. Sometimes people develop learned helplessness, which happens when they repeatedly feel that effort doesn't lead to positive results, or worse, leads to negative outcomes. This creates a belief that discipline and hard work are useless. On the other hand, learned industriousness is the opposite. It's when life shows you that effort and discipline lead to success and rewards. Look back on your life and try to identify any moments or patterns that may have zapped your motivation or damaged your relationship with discipline. Were there times when it felt like your efforts didn't pay off? Did this make you feel like giving up? Recognizing these experiences can help you understand why you might feel resistance to discipline now. If you've had experiences that created resistance to discipline, it's important to address and resolve them before trying to develop new habits. One way to do this is through the completion process, a method designed to help you heal from painful past experiences. Number 2, work with the part of yourself that feels out of control. Many people struggle with self-discipline because they feel like they're not fully in control of their actions. Imagine you've made a firm decision to stop eating sugar. That's your goal, right? But then you find yourself at the bakery counter ordering donuts. This happens because part of you wants to stick to your decision, but another part doesn't agree. When this kind of inner conflict happens, it's important to explore both sides of yourself. Why does one part want to avoid sugar? And why does the other part crave it? Understanding this inner divide is key to resolving the tug of war within you. If you don't address the conflict, one part will take charge in certain moments, while the other will take over at other times, making it hard to stay consistent. Your goal is to create harmony between these opposing parts of yourself so they can work together rather than sabotage each other. Also, recognize that the part of you resisting self-discipline might have deeper reasons for doing so. Understanding and working with this resistance is an important step. Number 3, create rewarding challenges. And I want these things to be little things. One way to strengthen your self-discipline is by creating small, rewarding challenges for yourself. These should be tasks that require some effort and create a little resistance in you, but at the same time, they should feel exciting to accomplish. The key is to start small and manageable while still pushing yourself just enough to grow. For example, you could complete a puzzle or a brain-teasing activity. You might challenge yourself to hold back from expressing anger outwardly, and instead take the time to understand the vulnerability behind it. Another idea is to go for a run or take a walk when you'd rather relax on the couch. You could choose a healthy snack over an unhealthy one, meditate for 10 minutes every morning, finish an online course you've started, or set a specific goal, like planning a date or event, and stick to it. These small actions are like training a muscle. The more you practice them, the stronger your self-discipline will become. Over time, you'll retrain yourself to see that you can follow through with your commitments, even when they're challenging. Plus, accomplishing these tasks gives you a rewarding sense of achievement, reinforcing the idea that discipline leads to positive results. The more you practice self-control in little things, the easier it will become to apply that willpower to bigger, more important areas of your life. It's all about building that mental muscle, step by step. Number 4, take some time to make a list of all the times when self-discipline, effort, focus, determination, or willpower helped you achieve something positive. Often, we tend to ignore the moments when discipline works out for us and instead focus on the times it doesn't. This negativity bias makes us more likely to resist discipline because we associate it with struggle instead of success. Start by thinking about situations in your own life. For example, was there a time when sticking to a goal paid off? Maybe you worked hard on a project and felt proud of the result, or you stuck to a healthy habit and noticed the benefits. Even small wins, like choosing to study instead of procrastinating and then doing well on a test, count. You can also include examples you've seen in other people's lives. Think of times you've witnessed someone succeed, achieve something meaningful, or enjoy a reward because they showed self-discipline, focus, or determination. It could be a friend who trained for and completed a marathon, someone who saved money to reach a financial goal, or a coworker who stayed committed to learning a skill and advance in their career. By creating this list, you'll start to notice a pattern. Discipline often leads to good outcomes. This practice helps shift your mindset to associate discipline with rewards and success instead of just effort or sacrifice. The more you focus on these positive connections, the easier it will become to embrace self-discipline in your own life. Number 5. Think about what you want to focus on in your life right now when it comes to discipline. If discipline is something you struggle with, don't overwhelm yourself with too many goals. Choose just one or a few things that truly matter to you. Write them down and treat these as your personal commitments. These are the areas where you're deciding to put in effort and stay consistent. Next, take some time to figure out why these commitments are important to you. What makes them meaningful? What motivates you to work on them? To build self-discipline, it's crucial to stay connected to the deeper reasons behind your goals. Anytime you start feeling unmotivated or want to give up, pause and remind yourself of these reasons. Think about the long-term benefits or the bigger picture. This will help you stay on track, even when it feels hard. Consider why some people are able to show incredible discipline, even in the face of pain or challenges. For example, think about the movie Braveheart. The main character, William Wallace, goes through unimaginable pain because he's so committed to what he believes in. His discipline comes from his deep attachment to the meaning behind his actions. Ask yourself the same kind of question. Why do these commitments matter to you so much that you're willing to face discomfort or challenges for them? The clearer and stronger your connection to the meaning behind your goals, the easier it will be to stay disciplined. Number 6. To succeed in life, you need to embrace challenges. People who are highly self-disciplined often have a healthy way of looking at challenges. This doesn't mean they enjoy the tough parts any more than anyone else. They feel the pain, frustration, and difficulty, just like the average person. The difference is, they don't see challenges as something negative or something to avoid. Instead, they see them as part of the process. They focus on the positive side of tackling obstacles. For them, setbacks, failures, and weaknesses are not reasons to quit, but opportunities to grow. These moments might be uncomfortable or even painful, but they know that working through them builds strength, resilience, and knowledge. Challenges aren't signs that you're on the wrong path. They're simply part of the journey, especially when you're aiming for success, personal growth, or achieving your goals. When you face difficulties, remind yourself that each one is a chance to improve, learn, and get closer to becoming the best version of yourself. Number 7. To build self-discipline, create an if, then. Plan for situations where you might face temptation or distractions. One big challenge with self-discipline is the struggle to give up immediate gratification for something that will pay off in the future. But learning to do this is crucial for success in life. It's much harder to resist temptation when it's right in front of you, unless you've already decided in advance how you'll handle it. For example, let's say your goal is to finish a project. You might plan ahead by saying, if someone calls and invites me to do something fun, then I'll politely decline and focus on completing my project instead. This kind of plan doesn't just help you avoid distractions. It sets you up to stay committed to your goals by deciding your actions ahead of time. Here's the thing. Discipline isn't about ignoring your feelings or shutting down your instincts. It's about using your mind, body, and emotions to guide your conscious choices in a way that aligns with your long-term goals. Many people misunderstand this balance. Some think they can go with the flow and still achieve great things. But the truth is, discipline is the bridge between wanting something and actually achieving it. If you're serious about living a meaningful and fulfilling life, you need to practice discipline. It's not just about forcing yourself to do hard things. It's about making intentional, conscious decisions that serve your best interests, even when it's uncomfortable. Discipline isn't easy, but it's a skill you can build, and it's the key to turning your dreams into reality. Thank you for listening.